The only thing that I would say has changed about the Trump White House is how Trump is approaching the job, which is that last year, in 2017, when he was aware of being in over his head, I think, and every president, to be fair, comes in feeling that way. But
I would too.
But
I think anyone would.
But obviously,
Yeah.
he ran not as a technocrat who had a lot of government experience. He was more easily swayed by advisors, more easily put in one direction or another. And now, sometime around the turn of the new year, you could feel really him feeling more emboldened, more understanding of what the job was, sort of some level of, I've got this now. And that is what has changed, and that's not small.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I sometimes get the impression that you're trying to say to viewers and readers, don't be surprised anymore. This is exactly what we would expect from Trump.
Right, which is not to say, I think that people draw the illogical conclusion from that what I'm saying is just accept this and be fine, because that is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that constantly being surprised or saying to yourself, why would he do this? Or looking for some deeper motive behind everything. I mean, I'll give you for instance, he gave this interview to The Sun, the British tabloid, notorious British tabloid, during his UK swing last week or whenever that was. Now it feels
you
like
said
it's 8
it was
years
kind
ago.
of a favor to Rupert Murdoch.
It was a favor to Rupert
his
Murdoch.
friend.
That's what he told people. That's why he did it. And it was not because he had some pre-planned strategy about shaking things up.
Yeah, he wasn't
or
trying to go in
disrupting the
there and
global order. I mean, he was surprised at how his remarks were received. He didn't realize that he would be making the news that he did. He didn't realize it would have the impact that it did, being in the host country, talking about their politics. When he left the stage in Helsinki, he has said this publicly, what's the big deal? There's a lot of assuming that, I mean, Trump lies frequently, or tells falsehoods frequently, or stretches the truth frequently, but he also often tells the truth, which is, what's the big deal? I didn't understand what I did.
Right.
And so,
he said, I thought I did a great job at the press conference.
Correct. And sometimes he is actually just telling you why he did something.
The press briefings, I mean, there's only been a few of them in the past month. I counted 4 in the last 30 days. This does seem like a change, that they're happening even less often than they used to.
I think that they have become of questionable value just for the administration. For us, they are valuable. They need to continue.
Even if she stonewalls the whole time?
I would rather be able to ask an official a question. I mean, I don't understand the people who tell us the press should go stand up and turn our backs or walk out en masse. What the press should do is what happened the other day, where Jordan Fabian from The Hill tossed his question back to Hallie Jackson of NBC when Sarah tried to avoid her. I think that is very, very worthwhile. It is important that what Trump has benefited from for decades is dividing and conquering the media. He's exceptional at it.
You said at the end of the week this was the worst week of the Trump presidency. How do you convey that in stories and in TV segments? How do you try to tell people, this is different?
Well, all you can do is actually just say it. Frankly, in stories, it's pretty hard to convey beyond quotes from elected officials, beyond covering the vote in Congress. But I think what will tell us the degree of difference on this is going to be whether his favorable ratings change with Republicans, not just with the electorate overall. I'm loath to predict that there's going to be a change. So all I can do is tell people this is different, and then explain the ways and why in which that is. Whether that means they absorb it, whether that means it translates into something else, I have no idea, and that's not really our job anyway.
Right. You said on Twitter a few days ago you're taking a break from the site. You said with the exception of breaking news and posting your own stories, you're leaving the service because it's not really helping the discourse. What happened? I'm
leaving engagement of it. It is. I called it once online an anger video game, and it is. It's like it used to be, I think, a decent community space. I actually liked Twitter because I liked engaging with readers in a different way as a reporter, which we don't really get to.
Yeah.
But that started to have more net negatives than net positives. And I think that the biggest problem with Twitter, and I've had this problem with Twitter since 2012, is that everything is sort of shrunken down to the same size and looks the same. All outrages are the same. A complaint about your airline losing your luggage looks the same as a presidential statement, and I don't know that that's a great thing. So, with newspapers and with cable news, you can tell by photos, story placement, duration of time spent on a story, how the outlet feels about that piece of news. Do they consider it important? Is it something they're giving prominent placement to? Twitter, literally everything is the same across the board. Part of the problem, too, candidly, is that, I mean, Donald Trump did make Twitter a place where people sort of had to go because he was using it as his main platform. He infuses the media with a level of power that no other president has. He treats us not just as the opposition party, but as equals almost. And by doing that, he makes us the story. And I don't want to be the story. I mean, to some extent, we can't help it in this moment, but to the extent I can, just engaging constantly on Twitter was just not worth it.
I get the impression you just want to put new information into the world.
Correct.
That's the goal.
Yes, and I do look at Twitter because it is still a breaking news feed. It's not. I'm not off the site in the sense of I never look at it. I still have the app on my phone, and I would, because of the way that news works these days, I'd have a harder time knowing what's going on without it. But
Right.
I don't want to be in it the same way. It's just not worth it.
And I hope the executives are listening. There is a value to be had in a conversation about how to improve the service.
They clearly see the value in how it runs currently, and
Like a sewer.
And I think that there is a diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So.
Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey did respond to Haberman and to my comments over the weekend. You can hear the entire interview with Maggie on our Reliable Sources podcast. Hear more of her take. Download our podcast through Apple, TuneIn, or Stitcher.